I've invented a new word. Plagiarism. Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day, and in today's video, I'd like to sit back in my squeaky chair, relax, and have a little conversation with all of you about the wonderful wizarding world of Harry Potter. That's right, today we are diving back to the past to talk about a franchise that I have quite a lot of fondness for. You see, back in the day, back when I was a kid, Harry Potter was a very big deal, and for me, it was one of the earliest franchises that I'd ever had any sort of attachment to. In fact, I would call Harry Potter, I would go as far as to say it was one of the four, foundational franchises for my taste in media, alongside The Legend of Zelda, Animorphs, and Ghost in the Shell, which is a weird group of IPs, if I am being honest. But seriously, Harry Potter used to be a huge deal, especially here in the States. The books were immensely popular. I cannot stress enough how big these were. It seemed everybody who was into reading when I was a kid read these books. They were monumentally successful. In fact, I remember staying up till midnight alongside a huge crowd of people in, what was it, 2003? I want to say, to pick up Order of the Phoenix. And this huge crowd of people all just standing in line to get this one book. And I can't think of any other thing that I would have stayed up till midnight to get. Or at least not when I was a kid, because I was still pretty young in 2003. I know it's hard to believe, but once upon a time, I wasn't as big of a fossil as I am now. But it wasn't just the books, and don't get me wrong, the books were great. They were excellent children's stories. They had a story that captured the imagination, had some wonderful illustrations on the cover, characters you genuinely fell in love with just because of how awesome they were. Some story beats which were kind of questionable. But yeah, it wasn't just the books that were good. The movies were also phenomenally popular. And I feel like these were one of those films that were cultural sensations when they came along, just like Lord of the Rings and the original Star Wars trilogy, because it felt like everybody had seen these. Everybody had watched these films. Everyone was talking about them. They were a big deal. And I'm going to be honest, it felt like if you hadn't seen the Harry Potter films, you were a loser at the time. It was crazy. And the books, the movies, this franchise was so successful. It was so big. It spawned a positively massive multimedia franchise spanning the books, the movies, comic books, board games, video games, and guess what? A card game. That's right. I tricked you. We are back to talking about TCGs on the channel. Dead TCGs, pseudo-dead TCGs, because this is a story about a card game that came out, died, and was buried for over a decade before being revived behind passionate fans. The Harry Potter TCG came out in 2001, and it was produced by, not Decipher, like a lot of licensed TCGs at the time. It was produced by Wizards of the Coast. That's right! The Wizarding World of Harry Potter had their card game produced by the same company behind Magic the Gathering, the original trading card game, and one of the most recognizable fantasy franchises in terms of tabletop card games. And that was kind of a huge deal. They added their own kind of Wizards of the Coast flair to the card game, but I suppose we can talk about that in a bit. But I just want to really stress that it's kind of crazy how Wizards of the Coast, they really did step up to the plate when it came to producing these cards, because this card game that WotC made back in 2001 really is, in my opinion, one of the most memorable and well-beloved card games ever made in the industry history. And I say that with a lot of sincerity, and I think I'm going to present some evidence later on in this video that will explain why I think that just a bit more. You see, first off, let's talk about the history. The Harry Potter TCG had its first set, its base set, launched in 2001. Yeah, I think so. Pretty positive. And it came out just before the original release of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the very first Harry Potter film, live action, which is great, all things considered. Like, that's really good, like, cross advertising there. You got a movie coming out in just a few short weeks. Here's a card game so you can play Harry Potter while you wait to watch Harry Potter. That's great. That's good stuff. Bad news. For whatever reason, Wizards of the Coast did not hold on to the license for Harry Potter. And after just less than 2 whole years of production and only 5 sets, it did die. Now, there's a lot of conflicting stories you'll see online from third-person accounts, etc., about why specifically the Harry Potter TCG was let go and allowed to die. You'll hear things about a lawsuit, about the price of art prints and such like that, but I've never really been able to collaborate like a real definitive story that I 100% believe. So I'm not going to talk about why the card game died. I'm just going to talk about the fact that it is unfortunate. I have a hair in my mouth. Awful. I'm going to just point out that I do think it's unfortunate that not only is this TCG, which was very, very good, in my opinion, not only did it die, but it died after only 5 short sets, which is just such a shame. It didn't even really hit that 2-year wall. It died in under 2 years. But it didn't stay dead for very long. For over a decade, the Harry Potter TCG was seen by many as one of the best trading card games produced for an IP basically ever. It was right up there with, I would say, the classic Star Trek TCG is seen by many people as absolutely amazing. I personally think the Mega Man Battle Network card game is an amazing licensed TCG. And yeah, a lot of people are super duper into Harry Potter. And it's not hard to see why. The cards are flavorful and evocative. The art reminds you of the old novels. The gameplay is intuitive, easy to get into, very fun in some points. So, while it is crazy to me that this happened, it didn't really surprise me. In 2020, a fan group decided that they were going to revive the trading card game. They started holding annual events at places like Gen Con, where you would have Harry Potter TCG tournaments. But what's more than that, they started creating their own Harry Potter TCG cards. That's right. Since 2020, this fan group has been making their own Harry Potter TCG cards and holding their own Harry Potter TCG tournaments. In fact, I think they've made more cards than WotC ever did, because I think they've been doing at least 1 set a year, which is crazy. A fan group has come in and revived and revitalized a TCG to the point where it's having new cards created for it. And that, in my opinion, is the perfect revival a TCG can have, because the best sign of a good card game, in my opinion, is if it's really good, it will survive the death of the company. And there's very few card games out there that I think, when the card game itself stops getting official support, would survive well into the future. Harry Potter is definitely one of them, as evidenced by the fact that it does have its own fan-supported group now. The old Star Wars card game has a dedicated fan group with a lot of love behind it. And I think Magic the Gathering, for instance, if Magic ever dies, I think Magic the Gathering would continue long into the future with fan support and nothing else. But yeah, I really need to stress how crazy this is, how impressive this is, that this fan group has gotten together, revitalized the game, and built their own community up for the TCG. And if you guys are curious to learn more, I will leave a link to the website down either in the description or maybe in the comments section. As for the card game itself, I suppose I won't even go into the rules of the card game, because I found an amazing video going over the rules and how to play. And It's by a user called Zarthben, and I will leave that in the description or the comment section below as well, because I think they did an amazing job with this video. It like a really high production quality video. So go ahead and give that a watch if you're curious as to how to play it. But I suppose I will leave you guys with the cards for this TCG look absolutely beautiful. Really nice production quality. I like the frame and the border. I like how the lesson cards are basically just lands from Magic the Gathering with a little extra twist of having to get rid of them in order to play certain cards. I like that a lot. I love the fact that instead of having a life point total or a point total that you have to work towards to win the game, you win the game when your opponent's deck has been milled out completely. That's pretty cool to me. I like that a lot. I also really like how this card game had ghost rares before Yu-Gi-Oh! Did. That's right, there are hollow foil ghost foil cards in the Harry Potter TCG that look absolutely beautiful, in my opinion. There's actually quite a few different kinds of foiling for the Harry Potter TCG. There's this lightning bolt foiling that looks really cool for me, but the ghost rare foiling that they have for some of the character cards looks really nice, and when you see it moving, it's just really kind of cool. It's a nice old hollow foil effect that we don't really see a whole lot these days, which is a bit of a shame because I like it quite a lot. But yeah, if I were to grade this card game out of 10, I would give it a solid 10. It's a great card game. Better yet, if you're a fan of Harry Potter. It's not one of the perfect card games, because I do think it's got everything. It's got playability. It's got collectability. What more could I want? I don't know. Mega Man? I know, it's crazy. It's biased. It's not perfect. But I would honestly give it a solid 10 out of 10. It is a great game. And if you're ever curious to check it out, like I said, I will link the Zarthben video for you guys to go give it a watch. It is legitimately a fun and very intuitive game to get into. And yeah, I just think it's really cool how this group of fans got together and basically revived a game they were super fond of. Not too many card games do that. I know there's a few other examples, but this was a big one. This was one that I was really just blown away by. But that's all I've got for you kids today. Please like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Leave a comment down below if you've played the Harry Potter TCG recently. Let me know. Do you have an example of another card game that has died and then been brought back to life purely by fan love and support? I'd like to hear about it. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.